G'day, listeners. This episode is proudly brought to you by our sponsors, supshq.com.au. Use BWB15 at checkout to receive 15% off and direct shipping. G'day, listeners. Welcome back to another ripper episode of your favorite sport, piss take, bantery, nutrition, psychology podcast, drugs, PDs.
Science-ish education sometimes when we feel like it.
Comp prep about how not to comp prep and how to listen to people who aren't prep coaches.
We don't tell you what to do. We just tell you what not to do.
Yeah, exactly. The rest you can just puzzle together and figure out. There's no advice here. It's anti-advice, really. Just don't do this.
Yeah, it's advice at not giving advice.
Exactly. So, welcome back to another episode. As you can see, the big fella, if you're watching the tubes, which you should be because like, subscribe, and follow, is back in his home nest. So now he gets to back to hibernate.
Yeah, and it's great because my room is such a mess, but I put the camera on to see like what you could see. So everything is like this just front half of the room. That way. like literally from where my arm is here, there is like up here. Just shit. Yeah, literally in the same side of this side. I got my golf bag right next to my monitor here because I got to put it in the garage, but it's raining and people know like you don't want to take off your shoes when you walk inside, put them back on, and like I'm in and out. I can't be fucked, so I'll put them out later. Totally I got so much shit. Fuck it hell. I wanted to change my bed sheets and like all this other shit. Fuck adult things.
How was the flight home? Did you go business class?
Yeah, bro.
Duh.
The only difference is it's like I don't like seeing people flaunt that shit. So it's like I actively don't do it. Like I'll joke like my client's listening, Josh. I sent him a photo as a joke because we were mimicking some people that we know. And I had like my Jordans and the business class on the ticket in there. So I had like my hand tattoo with the Jordans and the ticket saying business all in one, just as a joke. But I sent it to him only. Like I didn't send it to but I didn't put it on Instagram or anything like that. Like
that doesn't count.
No, I mean, like I said, I'm fortunate. So it's like I don't, boast about it. I'm in a very lucky predicament from, 10 years ago.
When you have genuine success and hard work, you don't really need to pretend or flaunt or fake pretend that you have it, right?
Yeah, well, between that, like I said, I'm very lucky that my business is doing quite well as having my investments of 10 plus years ago do well. It was kind of like...
Who'd have thought long-term investing pays off?
Yeah, like it was a gamble, but it was kind of like, well, it was a gamble I could afford at the time that's paid off quite well. So don't get me wrong, there's always an element of luck, especially when it's, 10 years ago, I was, early 20s. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, that sounds like a good idea. Well, not really.
This makes sense.
But anyway.
So flight was good, easy?
Flight's good. I only had about 4 hours sleep. So I landed at 7 a.m. this morning and it's 20 past 2 p.m. here in Melbourne. So we're going on, I think 3 or 4 shots of caffeine, and we're going on another can of Coke, which is, I don't know how much caffeine's in this. So see how we go. We'll be right, copper.
I'd have offered to pick you up, but you haven't moved to Queensland yet, so can't really help you.
No, I'm not moving to Brisbane. Got to try and work out actually come up at the end of Feb. That's what I got to work out.
Yeah.
Something to add to the list of shit
Brooklyn wrote in there, like, listen to the next episode for announcement of dates. I was like, about that. We don't have those yet.
We'll work it out.
This little guy. Don't worry about this little guy.
It's funny. It's like my phone literally hasn't stopped since I landed. I'm just like, oh, fuck it. I'll deal with that tomorrow. I'll deal with it tomorrow. Like, it's always like tomorrow. So when tomorrow comes, it's going to be the same problem. But hopefully I've had a decent night's sleep, so at least I can deal with it. Like right now, you see them with bags under my eyes, like they're fucking cooked. Like I'm
smuggled some coke in those things,
bruh. At least I need a Jeffrey.
Stroke the fur.
Stroke the furry wall.
Get some good swings over there.
Yeah, dude. I played Abu Dhabi. I played it's called Yas Links. It's
like Yas,
like literally YAS, so like like Yas Queen, Yas Links. Yes. Yeah, I think it's actually like Yas, like YAS. But anyway, played there, and we played it a week and a half ago, so about 10 days ago, and they've just finished like the DP World Tour tournament there.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, so it was being prepped for it, so it was like a phenomenal condition. And to be honest with you, I played a fucking beautiful round. I think I played like 10 over, which is great. But it's also because that course was just in phenomenal condition. It was a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Like the best course I've ever played, and I've played some really nice. I've been very lucky. I've played some really good courses, and that one I was like, holy shit. And I was playing with like my mate he's from Australia, but he's been living there. And it's just funny, something so simple as like most of the greens here in Australia, they don't, well, I mean, not in Australia, in Melbourne that I've played, they're not very receptive to spin. So if you play like a high shot, they don't really backspin. So they sort of stop and prop, or they carry out. Like once you hit the shot, that like bounces in front. Man, not these greens. Like it bounces, you got spin on it, it fucking shoots back. I'm like, holy shit. Like played one, like I think I like literally pitched one at the flag, like level with the flag, and it spun back down like off the green because there's just so much spin on it because I put so much height on it. I'm like, okay, so next time I'll play it past the flag. So I know that it's going to spin back to the flag. Anyway, like shit like that, you just like, it's just phenomenal. It was, some of those courses are just next level. And it's like, you know, when you watch an American movie and you watch like, they have like a country club, like a genuine like white boy country club.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Proper Abercrombie and Fitch.
it's genuinely what the golf clubs are like. All of them like over there. So it's like you go there, they, like you get dropped off because obviously I was getting taxis there, so I was getting dropped off. They come out, grab your bags, they ask you what time you're playing, they put the bags on your cart for you. They like they have like the bars and stuff. They have everything there. You just like, and there's people just sit there and eat food and like drink. Obviously, all expats, but
Yeah.
it's just like it's genuinely like a movie. And I thought Brisbane Golf Club was like that because the first time I played Brisbane, that was the best course that I'd played at that time.
Yeah.
First time when I came up mid-year last year, I was like, oh, this is phenomenal. Like that's shit. That's so shit compared to this course, bro. Like, I was like, and then it's funny because I was playing one of the other courses that I played last time I came here. So I played at Jumeirah, which is where they also play one of the tournaments up here, but this is in their off season. So actually, it was after the tournament. It was like 2 or 3 weeks after the tournament. And the guy who's a member there, the Aussie, he's actually a member of the club. He's like, yeah, the course is in great condition. Like it's like it's shit. I'm like, this is shit. Like this is fucking better than any course I've played in Australia, mate. What are you talking about?
Bro,
like this is shit. Like the fucking fairways are perfect and manicured. Like the rough is like perfect. It's not too much, not too like it's not too little. Greens are phenomenal. Like shut up. Like this is shit. You spoiled boy. I'm like, you need to come back to fucking Melbourne.
Spoiled.
Yeah, you need to come back to Melbourne and play some like fucking $15 round courses and remember where you're from. It's like 24, 25 degrees there in winter. So their winter's like 25, 26 degrees average, right? These guys are wearing jumpers. I'm like, what? I'm in fucking shorts and a t-shirt sweating, and these guys are in fucking pants and a jumper. They're like, yeah, no, it's cool today. Like, fuck yourself.
Get fucked. Shut up.
I'm like, you've changed, bro. I'm like, you've changed. Come back to Australia. Realize
how dare you climatize to this environment.
Yeah, understand what it means to be Aussie.
You lost your way, man. It used to be cool.
Bad. Anyway, unless you're from North Queensland, but even then, like it just rains. It doesn't rain in fucking Dubai.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Like, because it's not like humid hot, is it? Like, because like obviously North Queensland's humidity that mixed with like tropical.
Yeah, no, it's dry heat
yeah.
In summer, it's just dry. Like 45 is 45. Like it's fucking hot. And that's at like 5 a.m. You're like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah, no, fuck that noise.
Yeah, that's great.
I'll take Brisbane's 28s and 32s that it has been.
Yeah, well, that's like now's peak time to go to Dubai. It's like mid to late 20s every day. So social calendar and stuff like not necessarily Christmas, but like, you know, New Year's and stuff and all the events that they have, because now you can actually go outside and stay outside because the weather's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You don't walk out and want to die. It's the little things.
The little things. Not wanting to melt and die on the pavement.
Yeah, and then I was looking at the weather reports for back here, and it's like 36-degree day, 37-degree day, 32-degree day, like sun, and everyone's, you know, everyone in Melbourne's at the fucking beach, and I'm sitting there like, and don't get me wrong, I'm like, I'm in a good spot. Don't get me wrong, I'm, you know, mid to late 20s in Dubai, like I'm not complaining by any stretch. I get back and it's fucking 20 degrees and rain. I'm like, yeah. Like this is you fucking serious? Like this is some bullshit. It's gonna be like rain today and tomorrow, and then I think it's like early or mid 20s over the like, weekend. I'm like, oh, that'd be all right.
Grey, foggy.
Yeah, honestly, if I put my camera to the sky right now, it's literally grey skies.
Beautiful. Melbourne, you've done it again.
bad. Like really, and it was like 37 or 38 yesterday.
In Melbourne.
Yeah, it was
Sucker
fucking.
for
It
that
was
one with that.
apparently it was like fucking death. Anyway,
Ooh. So
how's Brisbane going? Same
getting
old shit.
wait, I was gonna say you're getting back into training now. You're back home.
Yeah, I can't fucking wait. Joe got me all excited. I wrote a new block. Usually I like he's like, bro, he goes, let's do this. I'm like, all right, write me a block. He's like, all right. And then like honestly it was like 2 hours later, he's like, I wrote it. I'm like, fuck.
He's had that written for like 10 years, just ready to go.
Someone's excited. So it would be good. I just honestly I need one night of sleep. I haven't slept for 3 weeks. I need one good night. Give myself, just get that clock hopefully in tune, and off we go.
It's gonna be a bitch. Like you probably finally just acclimatized to Dubai. You come back home and now you gotta flip it again.
Honestly, I kept waking on man. I try to go to bed at like 10:30, 11, even 11:30 some nights, which is like 7:30 or 7 a.m. here. It's a 7 hour time difference. So 6:30, 7 in the morning here.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'll try and go to sleep, and then I'd wake up at like 2, and then I'd wake up at 4. And I'm like, fuck this. Like, it'd be like 5 a.m. and I'm just like, I'm awake. That's when I was getting up and just going for a walk or going to try and do some hotel training. And I was like, fuck, like there's nothing else to do. Like I can't sleep. I might as well get up.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting to get back to. But Brisbane, oh man, Brisbane's chaotic in a good way.
Oh, okay. Well, take that.
Yeah. Chaotic. Like life is chaotically good. It's busy. It's great. Literally like there's been no foot off the gas from day one of the year. We finished the year with that meeting with our our massive supporters of the business over in America. Had our must have been our New Year's Eve coaching call that day. Yep. And we've pretty much just been foot to the floor ever since. Like there was no days off really. We had, what was it? Saturday we had face-to-face sessions. There was like 8 sessions there in a row. Sunday we had our team posing workshop. So that was really fortunate that
they looked hectic.
They looked, or it looked?
I mean, they looked hectic, but it looked hectic.
Yeah, it was pretty full on. Like, as I sort of mentioned in one of the stories, and like Brooklyn shared as well, and some other guys, some other team members, like this time last year, I was onboarding like a 7th paying client, and I was like fucking holy shit, like that's I've got 7, 10. I was slugging towards like 10 clients on the books, trying to get results, show what I knew, and that sort of jazz. And then at just that workshop there was 10 clients. And that's just Brisbane prep clients who are ready to get we're working towards season A, season B, and season A the following year. So, and like the feedback we received from we had some NBA heads there. We had a few others there that fortunate for me, they'd forgot to market it, but we still came down because I already preempted it. Like I was adamant from day one that my team would not be bad with posing this year. So I'm like, I will organize and arrange every posing workshop I possibly can. So I followed up with them and I was like, brother, what is the time frame for your check-in, for your posing workshops, blah, blah. And, he gave me the times because I followed up with him, and then he forgot to market it. So basically it was just my guys there.
Your guys there,
But in Rome.
Well, I was going to say, like, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like you get some, I guess, more intimate time with your clients to, go through their own shit, and they get that hands-on work. Like it's better for them.
Yeah, 100%. And that's, and as we're kind of announcing shortly, Tom will be a lot more part of the business up here in Queensland and sort of like expanding the staff or realm of people we work with. Just as I get more hectic with uni, I don't want to turn, as you would know as well, you don't want to turn people away, but at the same time, like I'm not going to take 60 or 70 clients and try and do uni and try and train. I need my 5.5 GPA, so I also need to make those choices of business and how much I can expand. And so we had Tom there running the blokes through like the classic poses and bodybuilding. We had some of the girls there, and like the feedback, I don't know, like obviously as we've spoken about 100 times, I will forever think that I'm shit at what I do, and I'll just continue to want to try to get better and learn more. And like
the elite matter.
What do we say? The elite matter model is
the elite matter model or method
is just be less shit.
It's forever shit.
Forever shit, just gradually being less shit.
Yeah, the progression model's in place. We're going from forever shit to just shit.
Yeah, basically that'll be progress.
Yeah,
that's our model of business model of coaching. So to kind of have and the feedback was the feedback for the guys that were coming up close. Like I've got Michael ready for season A, and he's about to get on stage For oh god, what is it? Yeah, season A in April, and he's looking fucking ridiculous. I can have him up there next week if I wanted to. And then we've got the girls were going as well. So we had I think 6 girls, 5 girls there in bikini. There was wellness, bikini, and figure. All with sensational feedback from coaches. Sorry, from the guys there for their posing. So it was a hectic, very social, draining weekend for me. Like I don't people that much ever, and I did it in like 2 days, all of which was my like social bandwidth.
Yeah, and it's like it's funny when you say it because I you know me, bro. I completely understand it, but I think people hearing it and who don't understand it, they're like, "Oh, what a dick!" And it's kind of like, no, 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 it's not a bad thing. It's just the energy required sometimes
Oh
to deal
yeah,
with such like big populations of people,
yeah,
though it may not feel big to you when you go from 1 or 2 to 20. Like it's
yeah,
a lot of people to deal with, and it is energy consuming. And it's not like a negative energy consuming.
yeah.
It's just
No,
it's just tiring. Like
100%. Like for us, yeah, like as we are inclined, it is definitely like, well, it's energy zapping, but because you put so much effort into taking care of your team, right? Like you want them to succeed. So I'm there, like I was pacing back and forward, watching the guys, seeing how they're posing,
yeah,
tweaking them myself, then checking
it's
on the girls because I don't have the bikini
yeah,
eye. So I'm like, okay,
it's
how
like
do
a
I look?
satisfying, fulfilling tired.
Yeah,
You're like, oh
exactly
yeah,
right,
yeah,
exactly.
like I've done something good. I feel
Yeah,
good, but also I'm
but also
dead.
dead.
So good night.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much. And like
like
from
after a
that
good
point,
gym session.
you just need to basically like get back inside and recharge, like lock
Yeah,
yourself away.
yeah,
And honestly, it was one of the most proud moments of like I've literally played at Suncorp Stadium, and that's not even a brag. I've literally won a grand final at Suncorp Stadium. That was more of a proud moment to me because I'm like this is a team here. They're here for me. Like I've never felt more pressure or nerve than looking at that room and going, every single one of those people puts their entire result, physique, and their life or health in charge of, like, with me to be in charge of. So I'm like, I take that with humility, but also like a large degree of pressure to perform. To me, it's no different to me performing myself on stage because now it's a reflection of my business. So I need to make sure I'm performing properly for them, with coaching. So that whole premise is taxing.
yeah,
And I was like, to have them all there and make sure that they're getting the feedback they needed, the oversight, the views. If I can be more hands on, make sure that I'm like in their face and actually like, okay, change this, tweak this, try do this. Even some of the girls, like just the way they were, they're like side shots, their rotational stuff, and like just getting that sort of understand their head about the way illusions and angles work and like flow works, even for bikini or figure or wellness, whatever.
mhm.
That it's still about illusions and angles and shapes and creating structure. And so that was it's a very very demanding morning. And then end up with 2 more lads rock up afterwards. What we did for bodybuilding. They're both going into under hundreds, or one I think one's under hundreds and one's over hundred. So that
Yeah,
was
no,
so that was a pretty big weekend. But like overall, man, like shit's just we're finishing off the incorporation process. Like I said, we've got people coming on board now to work with us and help out. We'll do a bigger announcement for Tom soon. God, clients, business, training, like shit's getting hectic. We're in a very, very good way. Like we've done all of the content now for this new course. So I've just got to actually sit down and record that and decide what platform we put it on to make it like a
yeah,
consistent theme.
hmm
Because like it's really easy to record. I As much as I love Johnny Jewett's J3, I
hmm
don't like the long form recordings. As we've
yeah,
talked about before, like I don't like having to find the videos or like the sections I want to listen
hmm
to. I would rather just have 5 minute snippets, click it, done, this topic.
yeah.
So, I'll have sleep as a module, and then I'll have different videos on different parts of the sleep.
Of
I'll have
course, yeah,
nutrition as a module, different parts of
yeah. It'd be like
nutrition.
two, yeah, it'd be like 2 minute clips on like deep sleep, REM sleep, yeah,
Exactly.
total
So,
hours sleep, what
yeah,
sleep doesn't if you don't sleep, yeah, okay, yeah,
exactly. So that's me. I know that's how I've always preferred study blocks. I might call them. You might call them like your study units.
yeah.
You might be able to listen to like 2 to 5 minutes at a time, take it in, click the next one, refresh. Um, yeah. So that's kind of like where that is going as well. So I'll start recording that probably like end of this weekend. And yeah, I don't know. Just good. It's
Hmm.
like hectic but good.
Hectic but
Like
good. I like it. Simple.
I was talking to one of my clients the other day because they're at a place where they're ready to take a big step in like personal life decisions, but they've kind of always like they've got a safety net to fall back on, and it's
Yeah,
kind of like held them back from making tough choices. It's always like,
yeah,
well, I can do this, but I've got that sort of safety fall gap. I can do this, but I've got
Yeah.
that safety fall gap. So
Yeah.
if I
It's like
don't
I
go
don't.
all in,
Yeah. You're
it's
half
not a
in,
big
half
deal.
out.
Yeah. And then, I sort of said to him, I was like, look, end of the day, really easy expression is to take the island and burn the boats.
100%.
And that is kind of like the only way I look at what we did in the space of 12 months is that
Mhm.
quitting, and it's not even a brag about money because I hate talking about money, but it's per se like the actual success of the business reflects our work ethic and the clients we work with. Like
Yeah.
there's no two ways about it that involves money. But to go from six clients at the end of 21 to almost a full roster with needing people to come on and app being worked on and things like that we're figuring out and finishing off and all sort of jazz, like it's pretty nuts.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I've been in that situation where I've had a fallback, and it's like it stopped me from going sort of all in. But
Mm.
it's kind of like, well, if your back's against the wall, you have a choice, or you have one of two choices: swing or get hit. Which one do you want?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like which one you pick? But you're either going to get bashed or you're going to take a swing and see what happens. And it's like, well, yeah, put yourself in that position so that you can then actually, yield hopefully the best of yourself. And if you don't, well, then you're going to learn a lesson, right? So either way.
Exactly. There's value in the action itself, regardless.
Yeah,
Because at the end of the
exactly
day,
right.
you'll know, like, I just, at the time, I didn't have what it took, or currently I do. Like,
Mm,
that's literally the only two ways about it. When there's sort of like lingering and and ahhing decisions and choices, it's like, well, that's great. But, you know, any action is better than stagnant action, right? Like taking a step and knowing that you were wrong means you can redirect yourself faster. Like I've always said, and I've heard people say all the time, is like fail fast, but fail forward. So like I would encourage you rather to make a decision, realize it was wrong and fail, take that lesson, redirect to where you need to go so that you can get back on your feet faster and redirect to obviously where you're trying to get to, as
mm,
opposed to like you can sit there and and ah about the optimal position to be in or the optimal direction to go, but someone who's at least taken a step is further ahead of you because
mm.
they're at least going somewhere, right? Like
Yeah.
that whole premise is kind of like how we got Matter going. It was like, we'll just take a fucking step. Like,
Well, yeah, and it's like, what's that saying? You might not be able to see the path in front, but you can see your next step. So just take it, something like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly right. So like
yeah.
in that
I don't
premise,
know.
like
Some
you're not always going to be able
philosophical
to see the
thing.
path. Like you're not always going to be able to see the path ahead. You can't
Mm,
always see the light in front of you.
mm.
Like the path is not lit up in front of you.
Yeah,
But the very next thing you can do is at least see the step in front of you and take it.
exactly right.
So
So,
yeah, and then this morning we had we started putting Phil on a bit more of a retainer. Like we want to just get constant
oh yeah, the
content
footage
out.
and stuff. I saw that in your stories.
Yeah. So we're going to try and do that at least once a month until I can afford, like, the improvement of income and extra clients was jazz. It's not for like personal finance. It's so I can put more back into the business and make more things happen and do more stuff. So
Yeah.
we've got Phil on like a monthly retainer at the moment to do a training session each month. Where I'll do a different muscle group or a different training day or a different program phase. And then just kind of like there's a lot of talk over and shit like that. So he'll just cut out, copy and paste audio and like transcribe it over the top. So
Yep.
I'm just trying to be like, more consistent and open-ended content for the tubes and the
Mm,
gram. So there'll be like, sneaky snippets out of it. Nowhere near as sophisticated as like the documentary.
mhm.
Just simply like, in Valley Air fucking type training sessions. Like
Yeah.
it might be an intro with just us talking and training. Um, this one
You
was just
know,
me, but
it's funny because I bought the those little Bluetooth mics you can get, the square ones that people have now.
oh, lapel mics, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. So you know how there's like the lapel where it's kind of like a more of like a cylinder. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that one.
Yeah. No,
That
yeah.
one. I
Yep.
got two of them. That one.
Yeah.
I got him in
That
Dubai.
one,
I
that
got
guy.
that one. That one. I got it. I got it in Dubai. So I'll fuck around with those as well because I should probably put some training content out again. People keep asking for it. I'm like, all right, I'll
You still
start doing
train
that.
and do stuffs?
Yeah, I'm like, I train. I just don't record it that often anymore. But yeah, I'll start doing that again, I guess.
Yeah, and it was like I sent you the footage we did the other day, like the training library putting together and stuff, like all of that's going to go into our training footage. But just realizing like when I was talking about training and Phil's behind the camera and he's like, well, what does that mean? And I was like, oh, it means this. Well, it means this. Oh, we're doing this. Like this is kind of why we're doing this. So just a bit of more like background knowledge and free info and stuff like that to training, or like, what back off blocks mean or what fucking top sets mean and shit like that. Just simple terminology to us that to someone listening for the first time be like, oh, fucking Ben or Aaron's too sophisticated for me. And you're like, well, actually, it
Yeah,
just means this.
yeah, exactly right.
Um,
That's what I'll. I mean, I have. It's funny. I remember way back when I first started online coaching. I was like, yeah, I'll make an exercise library, but it was kind of like in my head, the way I wanted to do it was like obviously, someone record, I have like some official
Yeah.
mic or something. So obviously it's clear and done properly. But back then it was kind of like you just have your phone there and you're like yelling at your phone so that it can
Oi,
yeah.
single arm
And then
row.
and then like they had Bluetooth headphones where you kind of like, okay, like they're not too bad, but then it sounded really echoey because you could
Yeah.
hear all the space.
Yeah. Didn't
You
have
know what I
any
mean?
fucking
So it's kind of
sound
like you just
audio
couldn't get it. Yeah,
stabilizing.
you just couldn't get it right. And I was just like, I gave up. I'm like, oh fuck it. And now I'm kind of like,
Oh, fuck.
well, now I'm kind of like, well, there's so many videos like around on YouTube and stuff, and a lot of the clientele. I'm fortunate that a lot of the clientele I work with are usually intermediate to advanced clients anyway. Like they don't necessarily need a training video to show them how to do
Yeah.
something unless it's something very specific, like
Yeah.
cross body tricep extension or something
Yeah.
that's not your conventional lift. Then I'll
Yeah.
send them a video, but it's like they're on YouTube, and like the videos that are on YouTube for these particular exercises are done by really smart people. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to send you that video because that's exactly
Yeah.
how I want you to do it, and
Link.
I don't need to do it. Like it's
Yeah.
great. I should really create a library, but anyway, we'll get that one day.
Yeah. I mean, another playlist option for the elite strength page for YouTube.
Yeah, true. I haven't actually. I got to start doing a lot of that shit this year.
Yes.
Fucking this
I'll
year.
start tomorrow.
Literally, I'm like that. I was like, I got everyone down, like, because the Australian Open's on at the moment. So a couple of people are down from Queensland as well. And they're like, oh, let's go train. I'm like, I literally just landed. Like, I don't want to train right now.
Shut up.
Yeah. Like, what about tomorrow? I'm like, I'll tell you tomorrow. I don't know right now.
I'll inform you how I feel.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I will train tomorrow. Don't get me wrong. Like, I 100% will train. I just don't know when because I have every intention of getting up, decent hour, like I usually do, have my meal or have a coffee, whatever, and go train.
Yeah.
But whether I do that, at 7 a.m., get up and train at 8, or whether I do that at 9, get up and train at 10, like, I don't know.
That's fair.
I don't want to commit.
You
I don't want to commit
don't
to a
overkill yourself.
time because I don't want to wake up and say, oh, yeah, I'm going to train at 8 and get up at 7 and be like, fuck a life right now. Give me a gun.
About that 7.
Exactly right. And then I'm going to do message him and be like, oh, bro, by the way, I'm going to train in a couple of hours. I'm going back to bed.
Like, see ya.
That. Anyway.
But it is rant time because
go on.
Ben's been pissed off.
Big boy's pissed off, and it's always fun and arousing when he gets pissed off.
Well, as we know, there are people in this industry, and I literally just engaged, if you will, in some cross-industry banter. Now, I am more than aware that people need analogies, metaphors, expressions, explanations, and so forth. But when people with an audience or what have you start to consistently put out content that is deliberately negatively speaking or impacting the perception of what it is people in our realm of training or knowledge do, it starts to irritate me because that is what people actually think is what's happening in our game. And this can be across anything, but to the position of us as high performance coaches where we have high-end athletes, trainers, clientele that are trying to achieve something significant, whether it be drastic body compositional change, drastic physique change, drastic lifts or numbers, whether it be stage or just in general. There's this it's an exaggeration, and it's like everyone's either too scared to call them out or because they might be a big name or they got followers or that, well, whatever, that they must know what they're talking. They can't be wrong. There's no way that they're definitely wrong. And they're talking out their ass about a field of practice, or I guess a practice of training or knowledge or nutrition they have absolutely no interest in, no knowledge of, no skin in the game with, or any experience undertaking, but will have so much to say about it and so much to engage with and describe and rip on and make fun of. But then when it's called out or confronted, it is, oh, it's just an exaggeration to explain. It's meant to be dichotic. It's meant to be something to put you on the to make you think or what have you. Or this just shows we're showing what the industry is like. Nah, you're very clearly either. What's that?
Gaslighting.
Yeah, you're either you're gaslighting or you're projecting a large degree of insecurities around something that you're really not versed in. And to talk about nutrition, to talk about bodybuilding nutrition are very, very different things. But at the same time, in between that, right, as we know, there is a spectrum of clientele. Now, I'm sick and tired of seeing Gen Pop be coddled and babied as this umbrella term that means that they can have no intense goals, no physique goals. They actually just only want to lose 5 kilos and feel better about themselves in a shirt. They don't actually need to have a fucking six pack. You're wrong for giving them like extreme goals. First, out and give them their fucking goals. If someone comes to me and says, I want to get jacked as fuck, look good naked, but also don't care about being on stage, I'm not going to talk them out and use my behavior change expertise and go, actually, bro, like, you know what? That's not actually what you want. You're actually really uncomfortable with yourself. Maybe that person actually just wants to get fucking jacked. But to sit there from your ivory tower of judgment and be opposed to or like looking down on anyone who actually has these goals or these relative ambitions or training like philosophies that, you know what, to get a decent fucking rig and look shredded or have a, 300% increase in your deads or bench, you will actually have to track food. You will actually have to weigh yourself weekly. You're probably going to have to give up going out and drinking. You'll have to sleep properly on time, which means less social life. You'll probably have to do these things because once your goal starts to exacerbate beyond simply, I want to eat more protein every day and just be, less likely to drop dead from obesity or from fucking heart failure and just be metabolically a bit healthier. The second you get away from that, as we've talked about before, you stop being a general population. Whether you want to, whether people like that analogy or that statement, if someone moves any degree past that, where it's like, you know what, I have some form of physique goal, I have some form of training goal, I have some form of performance number, I have some form of like athletic endeavor, whether it be it's prove my 200 sprint, my fucking 50-meter lap, all those things will require a degree of tracking, a degree of progression metrics, a degree of data analysis. Whether you take it to the extreme or not depends on the person, depends on the client. But this weird notion that people with absolutely zero skin in the game have the most to say and the most restricted perspective, though they talk about restriction, where they're like coddling and holding back their clients under the guise that anyone past that is just an obsessive macro tracking coach who doesn't actually know how to work with populations or like coach, what do you call it? Client-centric coaching.
But yeah.
If you want to be like a part of the degree of being client-centric is you listen to what the fuck the client says and you'll take into account they maybe want to get jacked as fuck, or they want to get strong, or they want to get shredded, or improve their sprint. That may be a possibility.
What's even more funny in your description of said coach or coaching style or influencer style, if you'd removed, I think, the last part in talking about the person like just saying no, they're just exaggerating for dichotomy, you pretty much explained Huberman. I was just like, yeah, this sounds very familiar. Sounds like Huberman. I really can't stand people sharing him anymore. It's really doing my head in.
Yeah, he's like,
like he was cool at the start when he stuck to his shit.
Yeah.
And even now when he still puts up his shit like that he's sort of knowledge and versed in, like, yeah, it's cool. But it's like, bruh, keeps putting up shit that you just don't want to see and just completely and utterly wrong. But people keep sharing it because it's the same principle. It's like, how can he be wrong? Like, he has so many followers and he's a Stanford lecturer.
Yeah, he's definitely not stepping outside of his realm of knowledge or study.
No, it's not like he only knows shit
talk
about the eye.
That's optimal fucking training and how to map out maximal hypertrophy. What?
Yeah, no, like, dude,
it's not what you're talking about.
Stick to the eye and everything to do with the eye, please. Just stick to that. Yeah, like
neuroanatomy and let your lab study.
Yeah, like just leave what you're good at, because what you're good at is really good.
Yeah.
Everything else outside of that, just kill yourself. No, don't do that, but just stop.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, it's just, I don't know.
But it's common though, because people always want to try and it's like social media, dude. They just want to take a piece of the audience. You know what I mean? They want to put themselves, in their own little section so that then they can have their own little following and that they can.
Proper cultish.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's it. It's like it's a genuine.
Hey, it's great in the sense that it works for them, but the thing is, here the part that shits me is, okay, if you're going to use a certain realm, let's say like you want to use bodybuilding coaches, if you're going to exacerbate or exaggerate the principles or philosophies they talk about or that they prescribe, I called this out the other day and I was like, okay, give me an exact of what this protocol is you're talking about, because the way you've referred to it here not only shows ineptitude of coaches or like the premise that you are setting is that all bodybuilding coaches are retarded and we have this weird like absolute extremity of everything. Though and I literally said, in these circles of coaches I engage with, I've never once seen this practice. So you're obviously exaggerating a point to make a statement. What is the statement? Is there a coach specifically you know of? Is there a person specifically you know of? Or are you just simply trying to exaggerate and make us look stupid in order to make your premise or system look good? Because cross-industry jabs don't actually help anyone. You're just creating more either resistance or argumentative like bullshit to try and get a point across when it's still not wrong to say track your food. You have a client that wants to lose weight. Well, what if they're highly conscious? The part that shits me is like, as we know in self-determination theory, competence is a big part of motivation. Actually having competence or autonomy to make decisions is a big part of motivational sustainability. If you're making the decision for the client that they can't track or that it's wrong, and then you're judging that someone else saying you should track is wrong, you're then taking away the autonomy for the client to make the choice. If I have a highly conscientious type A client and I say, oh, we're not tracking anything, man. We're not doing any sort of like data assessment or any data analysis, like anything like that's wrong. You should just load your plate and that's about it. They're probably not going to enjoy themselves. They're probably going to find another coach or lose interest in the field because I'm not only not being client-centric, I'm looking at that client and taking away their autonomy to make the decision that they want to track info. There is like this weird moral notion that I get to decide what is right and wrong in this industry. Anything outside of that is wrong. And you guys are part of this problem. And we're going to make mockery content, or we're going to make like bold, outlandish statements in fields we have no skin in, have no experience in, never done, never understood. And we're going to have the most to say about it. I see less arguments from high performance coaches, high field intensity client coaches, that whether it be like bodybuilding, powerlifting, strongman, fucking track and field, sprints, swimming, like sports specific, high degrees of S&C, where you actually have like a higher performance like client lists. I see less direct arguing from them than the opinions I see from like a lot of Gen Pop coaches who obviously want to drag in a bit more audience and rip across field or across industry and make out that these practices or methods are entirely wrong, whether you're like, intermediate, novice, advanced, whether you're someone who just has some extreme goals. It doesn't make sense to me that you want to say that you're about the client and at the same time sweep the rug from under their feet and say, sorry, you can't make your own decisions and track your food, or, actually be conscious of your weight, or, any of those list of things. Now, I understand, should a client present distorted behaviors with those things and obviously start to show some symptoms of problems around data analysis or tracking or, inferred problems that come from that realm, fair enough, back it off. However, what point do we also put autonomy onto the client that they made a choice to work with that coach?
Well, yeah.
Because we're taking that away as well, which is really starting to shit me. Macro coach this guy and fucking obsessive tracker that guy, and this guy only does bodybuilding programs. Okay, well, did that client sign up? Were they happy with the result? Were they getting something?
And that's just it. Did the client get the result? And did they do it in a healthy, or I guess a healthy-ish manner that suited the client? Shut the fuck up. Results speak. At the end of the day, results speak. Like, it's that simple.
And when you don't have those, you often speak too much.
It's exactly right. It's those that are too busy working that don't talk.
Legit.
Yeah.
we get an hour and a half here to talk about the bullshit in the industry and take the piss. But outside of that, you'll see, anytime you see me share like a provocative thought or a stirring comment on like
Instagram on the shit
or whatever, I am 100% on the toilet.
Yeah, he's 100% taking a shit.
That's it. Without fail, without question, because I have some think time.
Yeah, he has some me time.
Yeah, literally. That's it.
And you can't do it in the shower because the phone will break.
Exactly.
So right. When's the other time that he gets me time? Well, he's taking a shit.
And that is where I get to provoke thought and conversation. And usually the funny part is obviously like I have an audience growing around the way I think it'd speak, obviously, otherwise they wouldn't sign up or be clients or be like followers. But people are green, yet if you were to ask certain coaches in the industry or people across that field, that level of thinking is entirely wrong. But I know several of my followers or people that I engage with or talk to who don't plan to compete, who aren't on platforms, who don't get on strongman stages, but they still do shit like lift fucking heavy, train hard, track their food, take care of their nutrition, eat for a specific outcome, phase their training, phase their lifts, avoid doing singles for fucking no reason, all that shit to a point, because they still want a certain outcome. Now, they're Gen Pop because they don't have a sport-specific goal, but they're not Gen Pop because they're literally outside of, I just want to track some food, or I just want to know more about nutrition.
Yeah.
Like if you want to know more about nutrition, sign up to a dietitian. If you have any degree of like body compositional goal that starts being beyond like, I just want to be less fat and more like, I want to have a fucking six pack at this weight cap. Okay, cool. That's going to take some time. This will take this much work.
Yeah.
That will require to get a better result or an actual controlled result, probably some tracking of metrics, whether it be fucking sleep, your macros, your weights, whether it be your stress management, whether it be your stress levels, whether it be your recovery numbers.
Sorry, it's too much. You're a shit coach.
Legit. Sorry, you're asking too much info of your client, who you care about and are responsible for, and you're being ethically sustainable with. That's too much.
Yeah, 100%. Not allowed to do that. You just have to say yes to the job and then not do anything.
Yeah. You have to positively reinforce that they're really doing well with 0 changes, but also pay me again this week.
Exactly. And then you just gaslight them each week in the check-in.
No, honey, you are looking beautiful.
Exactly right.
You're
Don't worry,
the way you are.
you're 6 weeks out with 15 kilos to lose. You're fine. I promise you, we'll lose that. No worries.
What calorie reduction? What do you mean? That's dangerous. You don't need a
Yeah,
reduction.
that's unhealthy.
You might get reds. Really?
Yeah, we don't do that around here. We don't put you in deficits because
You
deficits
can't
are
go below
unhealthy.
35 calories per kilogram. That's unsustainably damaging.
Yes, of course.
Fuck off. Shut up. Just shut up. Just genuinely just shut up. Like, at a certain point in time, always the people that are in the trenches doing are willing to sign off. And I'm not saying to sign off the waiver to Ultimate Health or sign off the waiver to health in general, but there is going to be a point in time when you have extreme goals where you're willing to sacrifice the risk of consistent health for the potential outcome. Yeah. So things like reds are probably going to be a side effect of prepping. You can't really offset the likelihood that that may exist, whether it be for 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, don't know, depends on how extreme you have to get. If you're not lean enough, your food has to come down, or your output has to go up, or your sleep has to get better. If you're on drugs, it might mean your drugs have to change. At the end of the day, those are the very few options that we have.
These are the people that think that you can do something as extreme as bodybuilding or physique competition and still think that you can be healthy. It's like you will go through a phase of being unhealthy, like dieting down to extreme body fat levels and on, extremely low food is not healthy. Like, but it's intentional. There's a difference. You're intentionally being unhealthy for a period of time because your goal warrants it. And that as soon as the goal is done, well, then you go back to, being healthy. You put things back.
We're now back to that point of growth calories and a surplus and getting health.
But not even, it's not even that. It's just being back healthy. Like everything gets back to normal, and then you can decide what you want to do. You want to keep doing it. Fucking grow. You don't want to keep doing it. Well, you're back to health. Go chill out. Go have fun. Ciao.
And the thing is too, like we never see this level of backlash to. Like we kind of do, but we definitely don't. Not to the extremity. When we look at any other sport, right? Like, so obviously it's more of a hobby or it's more of a pageantry type event. We get that. It's not a direct combat sport or a score specific outcome sport, but we don't see anywhere near the opinion or the mouthing from across the realm or the industry when it comes to, say, boxing or MMA or rugby league or soccer or fucking kickboxing or fucking swimming. The amount of things that take tolls on your body elsewhere. I've played footy. I can tell you right now, I get tinnitus in my ears. I get high-pitched ringing in my head. That is definitely a result of the forms of concussion that I had across my playing career. No one's upset about that. No one's like, oh, we should like some people are because they're pussies, but always the ones who don't actually do anything. But, it's just that this sort of notion that the health consequences attributed to the nutrition when it comes to, say, bodybuilding or powerlifting or like strongman, specifically bodybuilding, obviously. But the health risk that we take is that I'm going into this willingly knowing that I will have to subtract my calories, get to an unhealthy position, have to track my data and my information in order to achieve the specific outcome that I want. No different than if I was an S&C coach or I was a professional rugby league player. My coaches are probably going to ask me to manage my recovery. They'll ask me to track my sleep, my food intake. I'll be on specific diet plans, or I'll be on like certain macros to get well fed. I'll be training. Fucking NRL players at the moment are honestly like 5 training sessions a week, plus swimming, plus pool, plus their rehab, their prehab, their physiotherapy, their remedial, all of it. They're doing fucking training camps. They're doing fucking heat camps. They're doing all that shit to maximize their season. But once they're in season, they also back off the training load a bit.
Exactly right.
Because they know.
Who would have thought that an off season or preseason is literally that, off season, preseason?
So there's planned periods of time where they'll be unhealthily trained for the exact or specific outcome of being at their best. Now, their best for them is to play really well across the season. Ours is to look really good at one point of time.
That's it.
The extremity of the goal is relatively the same. It's just that the specifics of what that goal is are different.
Yeah.
But we talk about this goal like it needs to also be healthy. It needs to be like, oh, this needs to be, we can do this and still sustain 30 calories per kilogram or 35, or, climb to be on 40. They're still fat. If the judge is rewarding someone being more shredded and you've got them on fucking 40 calories per kilogram, they're 100 kilos,
they're fat,
4,000 calories, and they're not dropping weight, they're still fat.
Yeah,
bring
100%.
them down, drop their food. But for some reason, like, we talk about it as if like it's the honest end of the world that for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, you might be on fucking 100 grams of carbs. Guess what? If you didn't get less fat, you have to get less fat. Yeah. So we'll pull your food down, or increase your drugs, or increase your output, or try and make you sleep better. Or just really the only options or modalities that we have.
Yeah, or just quit.
The funny thing is, though, and this is like another little side bit to it, I guess, because apparently I've got plenty to rant about, is so when it comes to, like, as I was talking about on the Instagrams, the interwebs the other day, the Australian dietary guidelines, right? Like when we look at that, the bro diet is pretty close. If you look at the bro diet, or even for generally like how we generally structure nutrition for a like lower calorie bodybuilding program.
Yep.
Generally, you have like the bro diet. Like, yes, it's going to be leaner meats. It's going to be more vegetables, cruciferous veg, fibrous and filling. Going to be grained pastas or rices or oats. It's going to be like whole steel grain carbohydrates. Generally, you're going to have pretty healthy fats to make up that fat composition, because we also want to take care of the body functionally, especially joint health wise. Like, the more fats you have, the better, because fuck, your joints hurt in the cut. Those things are all prescribed in the Australian dietary guidelines. They are all suggestions and recommendations. Now, the second you track that and put that into a plan, all of a sudden that is dangerously unhealthy, or it is obsessive or restrictive. But no one bats an eyelid, especially the same people that are arguing like their realm is Gen Pop, right? Their realm is Gen Pop. No one bats an eyelid at the person who has a 2,000 calorie coffee from Starbucks for the morning, a croissant for lunch, and whatever pizza or something is left over in the oven for dinner from 3 days before. If that is the Gen Pop diet, or that's the Gen Pop sort of like, that's what we're trying to intervene in, there's no issues there. Like, that's fine. Not a big deal. Let's just start with a very simple thing. No one bats an eyelid, but we start to structure food or achieve a specific outcome. That's still healthier in my mind than having 3 Tim Tams a day with a black coffee or a chocolate milk and a pie.
It's un-Australian.
That's fair. Actually, Tim Tams. Have your Tim Tams, guys. But you know what I mean, right? Like,
I know. Like, I'm just
there's so much opinion across what we're doing, or like what we generally stick to, because it's restrictive and unnutrient diverse, which is dumb, because the nutrient diversity you're neglecting is the fact that most of the Gen Pop aren't even coming close to the Australian dietary guidelines.
Yeah, of course, for fruit and veg.
We hit it pretty fucking consistently, pretty close, mind you. And it's like, oh, brother, fuck. You guys
you can't do that. Don't be silly.
You gotta, we put those there as kind of like an option. We don't actually want you to do it every day.
Yeah. Eating disorder. Don't be silly.
You're consciously selecting, or mindfully, consciously selecting the right foods that we suggest you probably eat to be at least and close to optimal health as possible, to offset the risk of health that you put your body through for that sport-specific outcome.
How dare you be healthy? Don't be silly.
We don't like that. No, we're going to have a lot to say about it and tell you why you're wrong.
Exactly.
Right. Makes a lot of sense to me. Sounds, again, a lot like people have no skin in the game, with no experience, no real knowledge about it. Theoretically, this makes sense. We shouldn't do this. That's great. To think that every single person is theoretically a lab rat is wrong. We know that. And then just implying that because the person isn't on stage this year, or they don't know if they want to get on stage, but we're going to dial them in and train them as if they might, or they want to train like they are. People have come to me and be like, I just want to train fucking hard. I want to train hard. I want to improve my body composition, diet, fucking lean up, get less fat. Brilliant. You know what that takes? Cutting your food.
This, and this, and go.
And off we go. Now, can we do those things by guesstimating, or like, setting up mindful metrics, or said like, literally, I'm the first person who studies behavioral change, motivational interviewing, how to get someone to form new habits and patterns. Literally study that stuff for a reason. And still, the most result-based thing that I have is getting people to take ownership of their results by tracking their information.
It's a very simple concept.
I can still say, hey, increase your vegetable intake, increase your lean protein count, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? I still need to say, even if you do those things, if you're still in a surplus, not great. We still got to pull that down. We still have to get into a deficit. Like, it doesn't matter if you're mindful. It doesn't matter if you're on fucking keto. It doesn't matter if you're eating whatever intuitively, fucking acceptance, whatever it is, strategy that you want to use. That's great. But it still, as a first point principle, needs to establish a deficit.
Yeah.
The best way to achieve it is to track it, or at least have some form of measure. Like, and I've had clients where, like, we'll map out because they go to the mines. It's too much to, like, it takes up like travel space to bring like scales, whatever. Okay. If you have a diverse mess hall, at least structure your plate. That is still, we can still track that. If you roughly get the same cook every time is making the same chicken breasts, make sure this much of the plate has some chicken, make sure this much of the plate has a fucking mozzie, because it's the same size bowl of plate every time.
Did
At
you say
least that's some form
did
of
you say a
tracking.
whatsy or a mozzie?
Whatsie?
I thought you shortened mozzarella or something. I'm gonna be like, bro, I'm tired. I'm gonna fucking slap you. Like, what's wrong with you? It's like, did he say mozzie? Anyway,
shorthanding things like just
yeah, whatsy.
unnecessary.
Yeah, no, whatsy's
Taking,
fine. I can deal with whatsy. I just thought you said mozzie, and I'm just like,
nah,
nah, next time I see you, I'm bashing the shit out of you.
yeah, that's pretty much my ramble for the day because I'm just fucking sick of seeing it and people pretending like it's some like super philosophical genius idea they come up with, and it's like,
Yeah, no, it's no one's reinvented the wheel, man. Like, for
legit,
fuck's sake.
legit.
Just it's
Like,
like just pick your target of who it is that you're wanting to coach potentially going forward, and you create your content towards that. You want to start bashing other forms of coaching and other client targets and stuff like that. Well, I mean, it just it shows us more about you than it does anything else. Like, you're twat. Just stick to what you do and
yeah,
let those that can coach the people that you can't, let them coach.
legit. Like, you don't
So
have to
simple.
coach every population. You don't have to want to work with them, but when you're constantly saying that every, like, when it's spoken in a term of generality and absolutism, it's where it starts to piss me off. Is like,
Yeah, that's
oh,
fair.
these coaches absolutely cause this, or this action absolutely causes this. No, it doesn't. That is nowhere found in the data. I don't know
Yeah,
what data you've read. Please
yeah.
share it.
Like,
But if I can't see it,
show me where you saw that.
establish where this absolutism comes in because I can't find it. And if
Yeah,
I'm wrong, I will happily say it, but I
yeah,
know
hundred
them.
percent, 100%.
Present it in an unbiased data study where I can look at that and go, actually, there was no conflict of interest. There was no funding here to back up by something that you said or established prerequisite. Okay, I was wrong. Likelihood is it doesn't exist. So in that instance, speaking in absolutism about like any other form of food practice but mine is wrong and it's going to cause these problems. So you should just do this. Nah, nah. Like, I don't know how many times I've got to say it. Even if you're not a V8 supercar, knowing how much petrol goes into your car is going to be the best way to know that you need petrol.
Yeah, who would have thought?
It doesn't make me Craig Lowndes or fucking what's his name? I don't know, fucking Brock. What's his name?
You gotta say Peter Brock.
Yeah, Peter Brock. I know like three. Yeah.
All right, R.I.P.
RIP big dog. Holden misses you. That, like, that doesn't mean that I'm trying to be him, but I still need to know budget wise. Am I financing? Am I budgeting for some petrol this week?
Yeah.
Am I budgeting for some 98 or 92?
Yeah.
Am I just because I want my engine to run well and I put 98 into my car doesn't mean I'm an extreme driver.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Questions? What do you got?
I actually just got some more because everyone must have decided to wait till late to reach out and put them in. Okay, let's go. What did I put? One of the other questions I put this was fears for this year, and
Ooh.
one put failing at business and bodybuilding shows. Well, two things that they are both definitely nerve-wracking undertakings. However, make sure that you are giving me all your information. Make sure that you give me all your data. Make sure that you provide me with your sales statistics. Make sure that you provide me with your business statistics. We can go through them.
As a famous man once said, being anxious is because you're not prepared for battle. You should put it on a bumper sticker.
Correct.
For those wondering, it was Ben that said it.
And it should still be on a bumper sticker.
100%. Put it on a t-shirt.
We can, yeah. The thing I always find with goals that become unrealistic or unattainable is that there aren't fixed figures or fixed numbers or fixed targets to work at. And that becomes a reason why you can't reach exact outcomes or deadlines because you haven't got exact numbers. So we can start to establish how many sessions you need, how many, this person is a coach, is starting coaching. So how many sessions do you need? How many clients a week does that entail? Would you prefer to have one client do one session or one client do three? If you do one client doing three, it means if they drop off, you lose 3 sessions. Are you going to shortchange or shorten the price for someone who does multiple sessions a week? What are you going to do to entail that? Yada, yada, work on your sales spiel, all that shit. Practice, practice. Bring me numbers, practice. How does cardio improve strength gains? Go on.
I mean, actually, if you go to my Instagram story, my highlights, there is a highlight in there that talks about creatine phosphate and stores and how that actually works. But at the same time, really it just improves your ability to recover in between sets. That's like the real basics. To make it more simple, if you can recover more efficiently in between sets, you can lift more weight across those sets. So in theory, you can lift more load per workout, or more volume, I guess we'll call it. Again, even if you work with lower volumes and more effort levels or intensity levels or higher intensity levels, still gives you that added benefit of being able to recover more efficiently in between those sets. So hopefully you get more from those sets. That's its biggest action, or I guess mechanism of action, if you want to go from how does cardio benefit strength gains. It also depends on the cardio, right? And it's got to be like specific. It can't be like you're going to run a 1 hour marathon, You're going to run like an hour every day, for example. That may not carry over into strength training purely because of the length of time and the effort levels required to run for an hour consistently, and then based on speed and all that sort of shit. But if you're jumping on a bike for 20 minutes at 120, 130 beats per minute, your heart's going to get more efficient. Your lungs are going to get more efficient. You're going to be able to produce ATP better, more efficiently, quicker. You're going to be able to use lactic acid to convert to ATP much faster, much quicker. You're not going to get that burning sensation in your legs if you're doing squats, for example, and going through all that sort of stuff.
And then the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell,
yes,
Krebs cycle,
something, citric acid cycle, something.
That's it. Now we know how to coach people, right?
Yeah, 100%. We're qualified.
He goes with wearing all the caps and not reaching for a mentor or staff to help grow. Thoughts? He goes with, as in I'm guessing like egotistical people.
Yes.
With wearing all the caps, as in I'm guessing like one coach wearing all the caps.
Yes.
And not reaching out for a mentor or staff to help grow. Thoughts?
It's an interesting one because it's like everyone that I know, especially in the higher level realm, like I'm very fortunate to call some of the smartest people I think in this industry. Like I wouldn't call them friends, but I call them maybe acquaintances. Like I can message them and they'll reply and they know who I am.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily have mentors themselves because they are the mentors.
Yeah.
But they do go to each other.
Yes.
Cross reference. And that's what I was sort of, I remember having this conversation with like people about self-coaching, especially coaches self-coaching at a higher level. I'm never against it, provided the person can do it, as long as you have a network that you can bounce back off that's in the same realm. And that's what I guess we talk about building your network. If you've got a good network that's involved in your industry that, obviously has some facet of knowledge that you may not have either, that, together creates the picture, and then separated is just a piece of a puzzle type scenario.
Yeah, exactly.
You can then, have that to bounce off. So it's kind of like I know for me, like when it comes to the brain and mental health and psychology, I'm like, I've got fucking tattoos of the Joker on my hand. Do you think my mental health is good? Like, are you fucking crazy? Like, I've got Heath Ledger, fucking Jared Leto, and I've got Joaquin Phoenix tattooed on my arm. So it's like, so I'm going to go to bed. So I'm going to ask him, hey,
because he definitely also has his mental health in place.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least you pretend to, so it's okay. One of us needs to pretend, and one of us needs to be honest. And I'm going to be the honest one and say my mental health is fucked. Hence the arm tattoos. But no, like it's not my realm, so it's like okay, well, it's a part of coaching and a facet of coaching. So it's like, especially when it's client-centric coaching, so I can go to Ben and be like, bruh, I don't kind of get this. Like, I know that this person's got this problem and it's probably because of this, but how do I liaise that in a way that they're going to understand? And he's going to be like, dude, say this. Okay, cool. I get it. That makes sense to me. I can then liaise that. Then, if it's something that he doesn't know, whether it be PDs or training or something like that, or he wants to just cross-reference, it's like, hey, bro, I want to do this. What do you reckon? It's like, yeah, that's what I would do. Like, we have that network. We have that reference range. At the same time, I feel like you can never not have a mentor of some sort. I feel like you can never not learn from someone. So it's kind of like,
yeah, like one of the things I try to emulate is that I have like 4 to 5 areas in my life, or like of something where it's going to be something financial, something educational, something business, something artistic, and something physical. Now, generally for me, like I'm lucky that artistic and physical are the same thing. And at the same time, also have some hobbies outside of that that include like, being more involved in my nerd life and collecting comics or something like that. but generally like a couple of them cross over. My business, my physique, and my education all kind of like unite into one thing. It gives me that benefit. So there's always a mentor in one of those realms I can reach out to do better in. So if I'm nailing my study around physique development, mental health, mindset, study of psychology, neuroanatomy, cool. Well, I also know that I want to make an extra like 10K this month, or I want to make an extra amount to help people or improve the scalability of the courses or the software. Or yada. Okay, I'll speak to this person. Like there's always some area of my life where I can improve and make it better,
Yeah, 100%.
which requires a mentor.
Who would have thought?
Um,
Like you're learning from someone that's already gone through it. That's the whole point. Anyway.
Literally, let me shortchange the distance for you.
Yeah.
Maintaining consistency and motivation after moving to a place that's completely foreign to myself. All right, this is a client. But it is on go.
Well, it's funny. This is an interesting one. It depends, I guess, on what it is. So if we're talking purely about training, right, and nutrition, if you're moving to a foreign place, in my mind, it's easier to stick to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, only because you don't know any different, and that's your constant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's such a constant, it's not hard to go, depending on, again, obviously where you are and all that sort of stuff. Let's presume they're in a country that has a gym, for example, or a state that has a gym. I mean, unless they're in Tasmania, but that's fine. No, I'm kidding. Like it's not hard to find your gym, not hard to get your food. So it's like they're the things that you can control, your ability to train and your ability to eat food. So for me, like I know that once I'm in a different environment, like the first thing I usually try to do is like find my gym and like, find somewhere I can get meals that are close to what I want to eat. And then that way I can at least know that I'm going to maintain my training and maintain my diet. Whether I'm supposed to be in a deficit or a growth phase is irrelevant. As long as I can stick to maintenance in a new spot for a period of time, I'm good. So it's like I went to Dubai, for example. I didn't train as much as I would have liked, but I still got enough maintenance in to keep the muscle mass that I have and keep the physique that I have, which is fortunate because it needs a lot of work, but we won't get into that. But you know what I mean? So it's like the first thing I'm like, oh, I've got a hotel gym. I'm very lucky. It was a shit gym, don't get me wrong. Like it only had 20 kilo dumbbells. Like, bruh. Like that's bicep curls, yeah. Nah, so I was like, like I'll make it work.
Yeah, no, I agree. And from there, like obviously, like you want to get back to a similarity or routine as much as possible. And sometimes, like depending on where it is, like you said, like a new environment can be more of a switch or a kick up the ass or a remotivation. Like if you're going somewhere that has at least a decent culture like that, or you're going to go and find something like that, like you can kind of get that extra spark of motivation. Or like, there's a new area, a new town, a new city, a new state. No one knows who I am here, or no one knows what I'm supposed to look like or what I used to look like. I can be whoever the fuck I want to be and like start fresh, redesign myself. I can use this as a chance to revigorate myself, like all those things. So, find your feet as fast as possible, get back to your routine, get back to your consistency and normality, because that's going to keep the motivation going. When people stop or use things like travel or moving or disruptions to disrupt their motivation, if you will, or their goals, it becomes a lot harder to get back to once you've had weeks off. Like
100%.
keeping things as consistent as possible is how you make it feel like home and you keep it going. If it feels like home, you're not going to change.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, what else we got? 2023 people referring to. People are still saying good carbs and bad carbs. Yes, that is a fucking fear of mine because it's annoying as shit. Not really a fear, but it is rather infuriating. But I do hear that in 2023 there is a course coming out that will explain to you why that's wrong.
Cool. I like it.
How much nutrition knowledge is worth a client knowing, and when is it just a coach flex?
Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, that's a funny one. That's an interesting one. So it's like, how much does the client need to know to get by? I mean, every client's different, but knowing the basics, knowing, I guess, how to be able to judge. The whole point, I think, again, I'll take Gen Pop as the example. The whole point of getting Gen Pop to track for a period of time is to give them the education, to build that education so that they can go to a dinner and look at the food and be like, it's about, right? It's like, that's about 20, 30 grams of protein. It's probably about 40 grams of carbs and maybe 15 grams of fat. Cool. It's not going to be too bad for me. And I know that by tomorrow, I can probably make that up with 2,000-3,000 extra steps over the next 4 days and we're good. Like I'm good. Or something along those lines. Or it could be like, I know that I'm going to go all you can eat fucking sushi tonight. So today I'm just going to eat some protein. I'm going to eat some salad and some veggies because I know that I'm going to load up on, one of the bigger macronutrients being carbohydrates because it's rice and it's sushi. It's kind of what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to save that a little bit there because I know that that's what I'm going to eat. Not necessarily know how much you're going to eat, but you're going to save
Exactly.
some calories for that, provided you're not wanting to get fat. If you want to get fat, then don't worry about it. Go nuts.
And that when people like this is the part that kills me when I see people like talk or brag about how well they're nailing like I'm maintaining my weight and I'm using mindful intuitive eating. Well, no, it's not intuitive eating because what you're literally referring to, this is why we build the baseline principles of using a meal plan, using like learning about tracking, the basic education of macros or nutrition in general, how to look out for micronutrients, how to consider fiber, both types. If you're someone who's like generally educated, you're no longer intuitively eating. Like I refuse to believe you are any longer intuitively eating, and you can't say otherwise because you've ingrained a skill set as a visual regulator and a auto-regulating system in what we call procedural learning, procedural operation that's converted to long-term memory, implicit memory, that you now know how to do this, whether you're looking at a scale or not. You know that this much part of the plate, like generally it's a pretty decent sized breast, half a breast there. So it's probably like what, 100 or something like protein, maybe more, maybe less, depending on how big the standard breast is. You've got, the cup here of rice, cool, might be about 60 grams of carbs because they've got X amount and they've steamed it. So it's actually fluffed up a little bit. You've got veg here. Like you're not guessing that anymore.
Yeah,
You're
that's your
educated,
that's your measure. Yeah,
literally, you have these skill sets ingrained in your head. You aren't intuitively eating. Stop saying it, you condescending prick. Like you aren't doing
it's
that.
informed eating. You are
Yes.
informed. It's educated eating. It's
Yes.
like what it is. You're
You
not necessarily tracking per se,
got
but it
the
is
education to
yeah,
learn
it's
how
an
to eat that
educated
food.
decision.
You're informed about what all those macros do and how those
Yeah.
those ingredients work and what they do together.
Hmm.
You are consciously choosing to have them, whether you're tracking the data or not. You are consciously or subconsciously making the choice to look for the higher protein options, the more veg. You're
But,
consuming like better grain carbohydrates and probably less trans fats in that meal.
yeah, but
Okay.
on the flip side to that, every client needs to know the Krebs cycle, just for
Yeah,
relevance.
if you don't, you're a piece of shit and you're gonna fail as a client immediately.
100%.
Um, ooh, your opinion on fixed diets versus macros when prepping. I
So prepping is in a like actual prep, like dieting down.
Yeah, so like
Yeah.
when dieting down.
Yeah. I guess it
I would
depends.
I
Are they
would
asking from a coaching perspective or a client perspective?
your opinion on, well, I guess I've done both.
Yeah, so it's like it's funny. Well, I haven't done the whole dieting down for a show thing, but as a coach, I've done, I've coached dieting for shows, and it's like I found for me the best approach is like having a mixture of both. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like, especially in that initial maybe let's call it a 20-week diet, we'll say that
Mm-hmm.
initial 12 weeks, maybe
Yeah.
12 to 14 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
giving them a flexible approach.
Yeah.
And then that sort of last 6 to 8 weeks where it's, struggle
You're
town.
solidifying digestion. You're
Yeah,
consistent
and
on
like
food.
and decision making can really be tricky, even if the decision making is like not. I guess there's not that many decisions to make in terms of food selection and stuff.
Yeah.
It's still a decision which potentially is a stress that we can remove. So then it's just, hey, I'll write your diet for the next 4 to 6 weeks or whatever it is, and we'll just roll with that. And then that way, obviously, I can control the variables, like you said, like digestion and
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff, and the look that we're going for and whatnot. And then
I can and from the other side, like I will generally, if I'm with someone who just wants to be told what to do, I will give them a meal plan or map out a meal plan in conjunction with the macros and calories. Like if you want to step away from that, here is this.
hmm,
But a lot of the guys that I've worked with, and especially once getting closer to preps, they just want to be told what to do.
yeah,
So, okay, here's your meal plan. If you're going to eat out, or you got a weekend away, and we're not fully in prep yet. It's like the first start of the phase. Weight still tracking down. We're still in a deficit. You still got your macros. Cool. Here's what you've got. Track it if you vary, but here's how you can sort of stick to it. And still kind of be, we're still ticking the boxes. You're in the realms of what we need to do. You still got health conscious thoughts and food selections. You've got training performance food selections. It's not just having, Tim Tams when you're low on carbs and you've got to
yeah,
try and get some carbs around training. Like it's
yeah,
actual
exactly right.
sustainable food.
Yeah,
Like those choices still get ticked and you're still on a meal plan, but you also have calories if you wanted to change or you're going out of the random interruption. You can eat on the go or you can make some changes, whatever. But yeah, there's a point in time where fixing your food selection becomes almost paramount to achieving a decent result because you need to know what you're controlling and optimizing, right?
100%.
Um, Oh, training volume, high reps versus strength, heavy reps, or sorry, high reps versus heavy when prepping. I mean,
Didn't
that's
we
a long one.
discuss this like last week? No, I can make that really quick. I got this. So,
Okay, go.
well, so in a prep, energy intake drops. It would mean that on the reverse that you need to be able to recover from your training, right? So we know that in a growth phase, when you're in a consumption, when you're in an overconsumption of calories and your recovery is at its maximum, not necessarily at its
Mhm,
optimal, but you're giving it maximum chance to be optimal, I guess.
mhm,
You can afford to push those effort levels and really go like heavier potentially, or go closer to
mhm,
failure, and push the limit on your training. Whereas in a deficit, when energy is a lot less, you need that energy to be doing a lot more, which is the worst
mhm,
part. So you have less energy, but you need that energy to do a lot more, especially in the presence of recovery or the ability to recover. You will not recover as efficiently from training hard, or like
yeah.
with an effort level of close to failure, if not failure, versus a 2 RIR, potentially even a 3 RIR in a prep, where you're still creating enough stimulus to maintain tissue, because that's your goal in a prep,
Mhm,
to maintain, not to build, um, and to be able to recover from that stimulus. So
mhm,
you need to be able to recover to keep training to keep the tissue. And if any part of that cycle chain of events fails, then the whole thing fails. So I would say in a prep, you'd be wanting to go a touch lighter, 2 to 3 RIR, so that you're able to recover session to session, week to week, so that you can keep pushing it longer without having to deload, so that you can
mhm,
retain as much tissue as possible.
mhm.
That end.
Fair. Easy. That
Simple.
is all the questions for me.
Yeah, I think that's all
I've
we
got a
got.
few.
I didn't actually get any.
Yeah,
I
got a
mean,
few
I
more.
was flying back early, so probably didn't help that I didn't put it up early enough.
That's fair. That is fair.
Yeah.
All right. What is happening from us? Whew.
I don't even know. I mean, end of Feb, I reckon we'll look to do seminar in Brisbane, and maybe tie it in with a posing session for you guys again if you want.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I like it.
I'll put you through the paces, have some fun.
Yeah.
They can see how
Um,
much it sucks to do it in an off season. We're
no.
getting half a round done. Half a round
And
done
breathe.
this morning, half a round done tonight, half a round done tomorrow, half a round done tomorrow night. Done.
Correct. We'll finish it off over your entire visit.
Yeah, pretty much just one pose per day.
Yep. Um, yeah, it will be at one of the gyms we train at, or sorry, in terms of the like seminar, we'll probably look at where I've been training out of 0W. So I spoke to those guys. We'll try and solidify that.
Mhm,
It's a pretty good location there to try and teach and educate and train at the same time.
mhm.
Plenty of equipment there and necessities to go through some intensifiers or whatever we end up talking about and fuck some people up. So
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. We'll do a bit
that'll
of
be fun.
theory, a bit of prac,
It'll be good.
see some tears. Be good.
Yeah. No, I trained to failure with a superset. Really?
Let's find out.
Okay.
Show me.
Um, get over here.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
So pretty much keep an eye out for that. Course is underway. Like I said, I'll be recording that this evening or this week, and starting to get most of the recording done. Yeah, pretty much is it. Like coaching's open, taking spots. If you're not looking for a more like you're not looking for a prep, you're not looking for just general, more intense programming.
Bit more
We are looking,
advanced programming.
yeah, we are looking at bringing on some coaches to help in more general lifestyle programming and 3 to 4 day blocks and things like that. So keep an eye out.
Lifestyle coaching. Lifestyle coaching is what we call it.
Yeah, there you go,
Yes,
lifestyle
lifestyle
coaching.
coaching.
So we're expanding that soon, and we will post up some content with who that is. Already said who it is. I don't know why I'm pretending that I haven't.
Yeah, I know. Like you're hiding it, but you're not hiding it. But you
Yeah, I
said
know.
it,
It's
but you're
like
not
I already
hiding it.
talked about.
Like, dude,
Yeah,
we've seen your penis. It's fine. Let's go.
yeah, that's fair. No doubt. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Beautiful. That is it from us, guys and girls. As always, if you have any questions, concerns, topics, please message one of us or put them in the question box. We may shift the question box to a Tuesday night. We'll see
Yeah.
if we remember next week. We say this, but we'll find out. The intention is there, and that's what matters. Okay.
Correct.
Have a great weekend, boys and girls, and be safe.
See you guys.